Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're taking a look at Resident Evil Requiem. Yes, the new Resident Evil has now dropped. I have completed it. I stayed up late last night to do so. I am a bit ambivalent on it. I know it's getting pretty positive reactions from most places, but I'm a little bit more ambivalent. For very specific me reasons though, rather than the quality of the game itself. So in this game you play as two characters. You play as Resident Evil stalwart Leon Kennedy and a new character called Grace. You start off as her. She's a FBI analyst. I don't think she's a full agent, and she has a gun, but it should be around here. It's her own gun that she bought for like personal carry sort of thing. Grace plays very differently from Leon. When you're playing as Leon, you're tooled up, you're smashing zombies, you're doing all of these sort of action hero-y things that you know from Resident Evil. Whereas Grace, she has a lot more in common with Ethan. She's a lot more grounded, and a lot of the times you'll be stealthing past the zombies. Which is where I have the problem, is I hate stealth games. I'm no good at them, and I just don't enjoy them, frankly. So the Grace sections, the early Grace sections I should say specifically, are a bit of a chore. So it does have that in common with like Resident Evil 7, I would compare it to most of all. Because in that, when you start off in the house, you are overmatched by everything. You're hiding, you're running about, you're trying to stay out of fucking things' way. And eventually, by the time you leave the house, you're pretty tooled up and can take on most of what the game throws at you. So Grace is mostly that, but she doesn't get quite as tooled up by the end of it. Leon does give you a gun early on, which is his big revolver gun, the Requiem. They named the gun after the game after the revolver for some reason, I don't know why. It's super powerful. It takes most enemies down in one hit. It takes bigger enemies down in 2 to 3. And the only problem with it is the sparsity of the ammo. You can craft the ammo, but you need specific parts to do so. But mostly you'll be there with your little handgun, which doesn't do a whole bunch of damage. And there are some big monsters that will attack Grace, and most of the time you will be running and hiding from them. So, I mean, certainly in the early game, it's really evident that Grace is just not prepared for this shit. The first time you meet one of the bigger monsters called the Girl, who will dog you through most of the game in a sort of nemesis type fashion. Be careful in there. You can't go more than 4 steps when you run away from her without Grace falling on her fucking arse. It's really annoying because she's got a sensitivity to light, so you need to run back into a lit area where she won't follow you. And Grace is just falling over every like 4 steps. I'm just like, can you get up for fuck's sake? Why would you fall over all the time when you got this big ass monster chasing you? I'd be away on my fucking toes. I'm a fat bastard. So yeah, that annoyed me straight out of the gate. Well, it's not quite straight out of the gate. It's like within the first couple of hours of play, to be fair. I finished the game in about just under 9 hours. It can take longer, but and that was the time that it told me I took it, rather than the time that I played it for in Steam, which was actually longer, but I might have paused it in the bathroom, stuff like that, so whatever. As I said, Leon, I've much more enjoyed Leon's gameplay. It does very much sort of go in the favour of Grace in the early game, so you spend much more time with her, and you just get very short sections playing as Leon. And then when the game sort of towards the end stage, you play a lot more as Leon. So it's follows the same sort of thing as a lot of them do. It starts out still weird, but relatively sort of strange for Resident Evil. Like you had the Baker house in 7, and you had the village in Village, funnily enough. And in this you have this sort of it's like a hospital, it's like a care facility. And then sort of in the late game you get into sort of, oh, it's labs and shit sort of thing. It's like 2 in the police station and then the labs. It seems to be a Resident Evil trope, the way they do things. It sort of like has the new idea at the start, and then you have the umbrella stuff at the end, which is fine. I mean, by the time it gets to the sort of the regular lab stuff that you're used to, I'm feeling much more comfortable in the game, because obviously by that point you're tougher, you're tooled up. They have introduced a few new mechanics in the game. So with Grace you get a blood collector, and you use the blood to craft stuff, which doesn't make massive amounts of sense in some things that you craft. Like, I mean, you're injecting blood, but you're using it for healing items. I don't know what. Okay, fine. One of the things you can do is you can craft a toxin. I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry, but you can inject it into zombies you snuck up onto, and then cause them to explode, sort of like EDTA in Blade, if you remember that. Or you can inject it into corpses, because if the corpses stay there long enough, they will turn into blister heads, which are this game's version of the red-headed zombies from, I think it was the first one, something like that, which are tougher, stronger, faster, and more of a pain to deal with. So it's in your best interest to like take out as many corpses as you can and prevent that from happening, especially with Grace, because obviously ammo is limited, and she's got like a pop gun. You can get a slightly better gun, but it's not quite early on, but it's still not great. There are bonus weapons that you unlock once you finish the game that you can purchase for your next run through, so that's fine. Leon has a system where he picks up a bangle that basically tracks kills and awards points for them, and then he can go to a BSA supply cache, bank those points, and then use them to buy guns and attachments and supplies, things like that. And he gets quite an arsenal, and he's got a really big backpack, so I actually was carrying around nearly all of the game's guns, which was fine. Because it's so slanted in terms of action towards Leon, I kind of feel like that was appropriate, whereas Grace, really I only ever had two guns, the big revolver and the pop gun, and that was about it. The guns do have attachments that you can put on, and you can upgrade them, usually 2 or 3 levels. The third level is unlocked by a bonus that you have to buy from the main menu, and I think it's only available once you've completed the game. But yeah, you can do the stocks, you can put a red dot sight on it. It defaults to going into first person with the red dot sight. You can change the menu settings to keep you in third person if you'd rather not do ADS with it. Speaking of which, the game defaults to first person with Grace and third person with Leon, sort of really emphasizing the divide between the newer Resident Evil games and the remake sort of timeline, if you like, because obviously like Resident Evil 2 remake, 3 remake, 4 remake, all in third person, whereas 7 and Village were obviously in third person. Now I prefer the third person, so I've set them both to third person, which is the footage you're seeing here, because it just feels more like Resident Evil to me, and it has done since the original 4, whereas obviously 3 and before that had the tank controls, whereas 4 was really one of the first games to implement sort of over-the-shoulder action camera really successfully, and that's just carried through in the rest of the games. I think they've done it intentionally because Grace's sections are more horror and less action, because you're obviously weaker and you need to hide and you can't do as much damage, you can't take as much damage, whereas Leon's like an alpha Chad. He just batters things. There has been some controversy in the fact that they made Faith, they desexified her, and they spent a lot of time making sure Leon looked sexy. Now, I don't find Faith unsexy and unattractive. She isn't very buxom, let's put it that way, but she is attractive, at least to me. But you know, that's not saying much. I'm an easy date. But Leon, yeah, he is a very attractive man. I would love to look like that. Even old Leon. Are we going to call him old Leon, like Old Snake? Maybe, I don't know. But he's older now. Obviously, he's got some like greying stubble going on and a few more wrinkles, which apparently they paid very much attention to. I've also seen accusations of it being AI slop in the later levels. I didn't really have. I mean, I couldn't tell. I'm not that intuitive, So it was fine for me. And even if, you know, they implement AI to do some of the work, I was like, I don't really care. I mean, look at the people in the games industry and what they've done to it over the last 10 years. You know, I don't fucking care if they lose their jobs to AI. If I can't tell the difference, I don't fucking care. What do I care? It's like, yeah, AI is not going to fucking do shit like, I don't know, re-looted and fucking shit like that. AI is not going to try and push a message. It's just going to do what it's told to do, and hopefully you'll get a fun game out of it. Which this is. I did have fun with it. As I said, the early levels were a grind. I stopped the first night I started playing it. I did stop playing it relatively early because I was just like, I can't be doing with this right now. I'll wait till tomorrow and then go back in, which I did and pushed through. It's the stealth, man. I just can't do the stealth. It's the story is an interesting one. It actually has two endings, so there's no real... I imagine one of the endings is going to be canon because it kind of leaves the door open, and there is more chance of a sequel from that ending. I won't get specific because I obviously don't want to spoil it, but yeah, I think one of the endings is probably going to be canon, the other one probably not, although the other one's probably going to be what people expect, if I'm honest.
It's really coming down hard.
From the game, anyway. There is a section where you play Faith in a flashback to while she was a childhood. She's in that fucking orphanage from 2. You know, the reason I don't do Claire playthroughs anymore, I just do it as Leon, because I fucking hate the orphanage level because it's a fucking stealth level. The orphanage level is not really too bad in this, primarily because all of the stealth bits are primarily scripted. It is pretty creepy. I will give them their flowers for that.
Grace, we need to go.
Go where?
I won't spoil it entirely, but I'll give you an idea. You're basically being chased by supernatural children.
Hurry.
And they are fucking disconcerting, let's put it that way. I wouldn't say terrifying, because they're children and you can eat them across the room. But
Come on.
when you're a kid and they're coming after you and they got shining red eyes, it's creepy.
What's going on? Now is not the time.
And like hiding in places while they wander around you and almost catch you, and it's like, ooh, not a fan of this. But all this stuff seems to be scripted, so you'll go someplace and you'll just hit. There's an obvious hiding spot which is marked by a circle, which just means you can interact with it, and you'll just use it and you'll wait for them to fuck off and come out again. So it's not stealth gameplay in you having to sneak around, but it is stealth gameplay in that you occasionally have to hide. It is pretty well signposted when you need to do so. So it's not a huge problem. It's just like making sure you're in the right spot, really. But yeah, when I worked out we were going back to the orphanage, I was like, oh no! And this was after like a long section of being Leon, so I was like into my zombie killing groove, and now I'm running around as a tiny little girl. Lovely.
It's really no excuse, and I apologize for the inconvenience.
So it was.
I should have it.
Like I say, I'm quite ambivalent. It's not a game I'll be playing very much, I suspect, purely because I don't want to have to go through the early sections with Grace again, because I just don't like that type of gameplay. I've seen reviews from people online that absolutely loved that part of the game and were very much less enthused with Leon's sort of action hero shtick, which I understand if you're looking for a more horror-based experience, and I am a huge fan of horror. But, you know, I want horror that I can fight back against. I mean, for me, like, stuff with ghosts in, like horror movies that are ghost-based, are more scary because you can't fight them. Whereas if it's just a psycho killer, you can just punch him in the fucking nose, you know? You can stab him, shoot him, whatever. You know, Scream is not scary because it's always a college douchebag. And I'm just like, I've hit plenty of, well, not plenty, but I've hit more than one college douchebag in the nose in my time, and I'd be more than happy to do it again if someone was coming after me. So they're not scary because you can deal with them, but ghosts, you can't even fucking touch them. So you're kind of helpless. You know, they can go through walls, they can find you wherever you are. It's creepy. But, yeah, so hiding is just, from zombies as well, the most disposable of the horror you know, genre. It's like zombies that you kill zombies with screwdrivers, knives, fucking all sorts. They're not that tough because they're slow and stupid, and you can fucking deck them with a bit of wood, you know. But like having a pop gun, it takes like 5 headshots to put a guy down, and you've got very little ammo. It's, yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. I did manage to break the physics at one point. I got stuck outside the map. No idea how I managed that. I was coming through a revolving door with Leon, and he kind of like wasn't lined up with it when he went in, and he wasn't lined up with it when he came out, and he was just like the other side of this wall. He was kind of stuck outside of the map boundaries. I had to reload the checkpoint. It's probably a little way back, but not too far. Really, that was the only problem I had with it in terms of stability. Performance is...
Just about.
It's a mixed bag. Generally, the RE engine's pretty good on my rig. But in this, I found, like, when it... I mean, I had it, like, pretty much top bollocks. Everything but the shadows, they were just, like, one down from top. And I had DLSS on quality. It does look, even without DLS off, it does look a little grainy, the actual game itself. There are mods that you can use to apparently remove it. I haven't done so yet. I've just played the game as was for review purposes. I'll get onto the modding scene and, you know, getting Faith's clothes off at a later point. But, yeah, it was a bit inconsistent. It seemed to be when it went into cutscenes and came out of cutscenes that I got like the real big performance drops. Sort of from the moment to moment gameplay, it was generally fine, but it would go down to like 30 to 47, somewhere around there, when it was coming out of the cutscenes, and then it would slowly creep back up. And my utilization of my graphics card was 100% even when it dropped. So it was clearly the game and not anything to do with the card. But it would literally be like, yes, it would be like 47, 48, 49, 50, and then it would get to like 60, and I'd consider that playable carry on. But at other points, it would be at like 150 frames per second. So it was like, yeah, it was really all over the shop when it came to performance. I think it needs some ironing. I can't remember. I think I did have this with Village as well, although I haven't played that in a while. Although Village is very much less one, it is one I would play again, I should say, because it is, you're pretty much fighting things out of the gate. It's only really when you get to the castle and then you can't kill the daughters, and then eventually Dimitrescu initially, that you got to do the bit I don't like. So and that's normally the point I dip out for a while. Whereas like 7, it starts off that way, and it's really sort of only like 3-4 hours in where you feel like, okay, I've got a chance. You know, I've got something other than a knife. I don't know. I just don't think Resident Evil has always been more of a survival horror that veers towards action. I've always felt that like Silent Hill was the other way, where you were just like this regular mook that had to make do, whereas in Resident Evil you're always like this highly trained STARS operative, or, you know, something similar, or Sister of Stars operative. You know, they were all very capable when it came to defending themselves and handling firearms and all of that, whereas in Silent Hill it's very much not the case. I think the Silent Hill Homecoming was probably the closest it got to being that, because obviously you were an ex-soldier. I'll say that in quotation marks. But you had combat experience, kinda. So you were more like you could knife fight, basically. The knife was actually one of the better weapons in the game if you got to grips with it properly. So, but yeah, so sort of taking it back and trying to make it more stealthy and cerebral. I get where they're going. I mean, it is more horrifying. It is scarier, but it's just not as fun for me. So it's not when I go back and replay instantly, although I probably will, because, you know, overall, I mean, it's a good game. It is well put together. As I say, there's a few performance issues, but nothing that really affects the moment-to-moment gameplay too much. But no, it took me longer than I thought. I mean, there was a point where I thought we were about to escape and finish the game, No, that's like halfway through. I was like, oh my god. I sort of like, this just keeps going. And then it takes you back to a load of places from previous games. So I think that's where the sort of criticism may be coming in for the AI. Maybe they're using the AI to make their previous environments that they'd already created for other games in the franchise to like make them look sort of wrecked and decimated. Maybe they use AI for that. But I mean, I'm okay with that. I really don't care, as I say. Maybe that's where it's coming from. But yeah, that you visit a few locations. One is absolutely classic. You just basically walk through it and have a flashback before you go out the other side and fight a familiar face. There's also a fight against Hunk. Hunk is in the game proper. You kill him, but he's in the game. And he's just called like mercenary boss or something in the credits, but it's Hunk. He's got the gas mask. Fuck it, it's Hunk. And you basically have a knife fight with him. So that's pretty cool. So Resident Evil Requiem. It's a good game. It does some things differently. It's very much like a mashup of like 7 and any one of the remakes in terms of gameplay. I do appreciate the fact that it doesn't lock you in on their preferred viewpoint and you can go third person with Faith. Hell, you can go first person with Leon if you'd like. I don't know why you would, because third person is better for action games, because you know you have a bigger field of view and you can see things coming from the sides easier. So yeah, I didn't enjoy all of it, but overall I did enjoy it. I think if you enjoy stealth gameplay or 7 more than I did, then I think this is going to be maybe the other way around. Maybe you won't like the Leon parts as much as I did, because he is like stupidly overpowered and does all these stupid action hero things that you're used to from Resident Evil. So there you go. Anyway guys, that's it for this week. Take it easy and I'll catch you next time.